in service to the factory. She awoke on something soft with a straw between her lips. Without opening her eyes, she sucked in the delicious drink, sighing as she released it and then blinking before looking around. There was only darkness to her right, but turning her head, she saw that she was nestled in a small space, an alcove, where the wall curved on her left, its entire surface lit by a soft blue light. It was this light that revealed what was near her. A shadowy creature stopped at her feet. There was nothing discerning about it. It was just a shadow, with a head, arms, and legs. She remained frozen as it crawled, coming closer to her face, its limbs curving around her. Its body stretched, as if the light was straining it, and then it attached itself to every sensitive patch of skin on her body, behind her thighs, her nipples, around the entry of her ears, underneath her 4 breasts, her nub, everywhere. It rubbed, massaged, caressed, stroked, or sucked each part in a way that distinctly satisfied her, making her succumb to her every desire. If she tried to squirm, it intensified the pleasure. If she tried to withhold a moan, it deepened its contact. It wasn't much longer before she climaxed. The shadow quickly entered her, plunging into her insides, as if it didn't want to leave a single space of skin uncovered. Her moans and groans amplified, as a profound voice rumbled next to both sides of her ears. 1, 2, 3, it counted, drawing out the word 3 as it ground into her. It continued counting, every number a thrust, proceeding toward a climax. 2nd bliss, it crooned, its voice rising and falling as it continued driving her into another climatic groan. 3rd bliss, it said. It persisted, counting its thrusts, adding up her ecstasies until her body was humming with exhaustion. 3,674, it said as it pulled out. 15 bliss. She wanted to sleep, but it lifted her to drink before allowing her to settle back down. You will provide 3 years of service, it said, its dark hands swirling over her now swelling belly, and then you will be reevaluated for release. She hadn't felt it seeding her eggs, but it had. It had seeded every horde that escaped her womb. Her growing belly confirmed that over the next 24 hours, making her release the eggs in a current filled with more fevered bliss. His shadow covered her, catching every egg as it counted them and each orgasm. When it was all done and she collapsed, the shadow hauled the eggs away. Sometimes, when she could catch when it climaxed, she could see spikes. No, quills shooting out from its edges before being sucked back in. She had a sleeping thought of the counters, those who provided their quills for currency to her people and sat on platforms, counting eggs and making sure each person knew the value of their wealth. The counters were always here, she thought, before the Mycorians, who flew from their homeland on a giant spore that settled on top of the great mushroom. Mycorians and counters integrated, merging to a society where the Mycorians benefited more from their relationship. Or so she had always been led to believe. The counters could change their shape, she sleepily thought. They weren't anything like what they had led them to believe. They probably were the ones who built the factory. She should have felt betrayed. But the feeling never came, as an appeasing sleep took its place, not to mention the oh-so-much bliss. She craved the seductive way the shadow counted its thrusts and engrossed in her amount of orgasms. Diana's time became a blur of delicious fruits, syrupy drinks, warm sponge baths, and utter bliss. The counting became an exotic song to her ears. And when intendant Mycorians came to her, unfurling a scroll, Their speech was nothing but a backdrop to the shadow's sensuous counting and endless thrusting. It whispered in her ears, 782, 783, as the intendant Mycorians intoned their message. This notification confirms the completion of Deana's 3-year service in the factory. 788, 789. Your return to the Great Mushroom is now permitted. Additionally, your debts have been settled, and 796, 797. A surplus equivalent to 4 months has been allocated to your account. 802, 803. Require your presence outside the chamber within the next 2 minutes. 810, 811. To acknowledge and receive these benefits. 815, 816. Third bliss. Deana enjoyed how the shadow restrained her in a way to make sure she didn't, in any way, clip the length of her orgasm. It continued to suck, touch, stroke, and vibrate, to squeeze out every second until it resumed counting. 817, 818. Please exit the chamber. You have 2 minutes. 822, 823. The intendant Mycorians waited for her to push the shadow aside and step out from her alcove. She was sure they waited a bit longer than just 2 minutes. Deana had heard this speech presented many times to other Mycorians who had served their years, and were now declared that they were free. No one had expected it, as the shadows were always near, whispering, touching, vibrating, thrusting, suckling, counting, feeding. Its loving presence was too painful to turn away from, and so Deana ignored the intendants, crying out her orgasm as the minutes slipped by in a blink and the Mycorians moved on to the next person. Deana never felt her alcove move, floating down the long hallway and descending several floors below, anchoring in a slot next to thousands of voices in fervent passions. "It's just a formality," she heard one of the intendants say. "They never say yes." The end. Want to try another path? Or, this is my preferred ending.